Empty Diary 1986, looking north free. So long imprisoned in his tower, he'd thought himself his own damsel. He shot her clean and wet in purchasable images, a kitchen unit pulled out of womanly wreckage, while her vibrator hummed his several names. Behind Uranus windows of edited highlights, his silver dirty hole in reality, she'd script for action. His profuse ejaculate webbed her fingers. She almost thought that she was him, pissing from the fire escape so she could admire the generous silken jet, spilling sky onto the day's tarnish. All his poems have the same number of words, by the way, but it probably doesn't feel like that. But I won't explain the formalism behind that. It's sort of mad as Christensen's, really. Empty Diary 1987, in memoriam Felix Guattari. Empowered image, Baudrillard framed by one new Duchamp urinal per second. Dolly oracular heroes hammering, mass mediating chaosmos. She's voice, trickling her absence, subverting the flow of dominant redundancies, pastebooks, sticky life worlds, vending mermaid flesh, art thick, fresh reference, sing for lyric shifts in subjectivity spilling sky. The hourglass gravity of articulate slaves. She's beautiful on the executive bed, existential territory. He's cut to the balls at the kitchen sink, subjective autonomist, fucks alone within you, tasteless sucker of silicone flesh. Empty Diary 1988. 1. He's a nice bloke. Not in my books, he's not. Her world in his iambic limping, her compliance affluent fuck, late afternoon silky licks. 2. She crouches dirty blankets from skips, huddles against the warm plastic of the photo booth. The specimen shots on her side of your postcode. 3. She is news and commentary narrowcast to the year in which she thought she lived, only to find it turned history. Eat the rich, dropped out of her soundbite, black fists unclenching as she walked free. Empty Diary 1989. Speak, echoing voice, sudden polyphony. In a lucid disruption alone, with a fist fucker fixed in her meat, he cured with a politician's touch. Thoughts full of the homeless, his home full of Bibles. We fuck shadows to art, hammer symbols to death. Life's cut a deal I'll win or lose, after checking for small-scale social infections. Swastika waxworks, melting at the latest judgment. Our breath shakes with complaint, strangled by spewed videotape. Actuality presents a Bible, forced under a trapped, sleeping head. Empty Diary 1990, for Adrian Clark 1. Human dust against the dark night, this degrades. Now bleached into the ecstasy of image, she holds a Bible filofax. Sterile flare hobos her puppets, blondes in the sex shop. Coo into vacant dummy leather militia turned fan club. She wears his eyes, tightly fixed on sidewalk scripture. White pussy, easy meat. Cocksucker choir shitpeckers praise her legendary guts. Her TV astrologer's tattooed fist so hard to make a man weak. In this apocalyptic cut, mannequin's wig trails the gutter, slave gangers fetish. At the centre of the book, I'm pleased it actually turned out to be the literal centre, in the middle of it, when it was all put together, is a long poem called The Laws. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to read book 7, that's not right too, it's not that long. More number madness in this book as well, which I won't explain again. Particular numbers of words. And also in the middle of this you've got Empty Diary 1995 and another poem called Torn Elegy 1, which is some thoughts about the Spanish Civil War. And it's book 7 of the laws, called Laws and Bylaws. I think it's something more sort of positive and slightly utopian. I think it's slightly utopian. In this. Further information dumps it, your organisation is a lesson in peepholes owning the blackened world. The empire's last plantation lament, mid-street meeting pulls wipes her impossible simultaneous acts. Crosses this page like an anecdote, now crossing the road in complexity. Prejudice among common benches lives hot in your decision. Now trigger words stretch 3 hooks across her back. Hopper, frisson, plays passions we lose. Pours subjectivity into bodies, smouldering connections, seduce not open to discussion. A strap revealed to pin him up. Dewy-eyed sentimentalists want a cut of the ranting shifts. The roles want strict negotiations to invite the other man onto seat of authority. Blocked phallic conduit, caught entering cuts whither meanings tell us we're persons. Singular masks to petition honey flesh. Each human trait as though the plot were an interfering spectre from another voice behind versions for optimal planes. Legs curl in permissive formation, revolutions level to a horizontal kiss. Already autonomy spews improbable ethos, a level spirit erupts citizens from themselves. Empty Diary, 1995. Netting Joy 1. Netting joy, I become my feral viscosity, lift his token with a frankness inwardly reshaped. He watches, imitates, cat scratching, stirs pleasure into my body's stiff memory, fixes the blood, mutual disjunction values each cleansing drop, goose flesh shadows the passion-spent gift. Night covered with blood he's learning, where division is not betrayal, but opens a final pleasure. Weeps traffic, spills Menzies, he leaves it on my smile, he touches astonished space, ethically balanced on my quartered womanhood, with freezing time, tangled in exchange. It's the end of the Empty Diary. Sneering eyes and 90s enabling routes, narrow the escape valves, weekend sonnets, 12 lines of raw utopic streak into his hatched thoughts. Laws fend the millennial heels, the pay cut stripe across his back, hangs from her strip his slip of refusal. This verse is torn Elegy 1. It's in capital letters, but you can't see that. Smiles talk that they own the world, flinch armed with sensations, bonded with slogans. She becomes each chill erasure, strikes pity out the struggle to crush fascism in spite of government, black flags, blue shirts, hooded fighting cocks not afraid of ruins. Her spine smiles, spiked invitation, screws purling turnstile, belongs to the people. Scarce gutters of trawl, each gloss ennobles whose vocabulary? A snarling street stylist rebel rag, delegates revolve, deep illusionists fall, as black neon disasters in deep-throated anthems to freedom. Counterpoint everything, your breath pitches everything. Against repressive time, tumble across chords, you're a habit, locate joy on a moment's point. Dense ecstasy shift weight, linking Toccata's floor, your feet shadowed on the surface above, to name, to refute, stumbling, floodlit flight. Towards the end of the project, I started to write in looser structures, in fact in a kind of lineated prose. And some of those poems are sort of narrative, but I don't have time to read any of those narrative ones. So I'm going to read one that's slightly shorter, slightly less narrative, slightly more discursive than anything that comes before. And it is another kind of manifesto, really. This is part 68, so this comes from September to October 1999, where I knew I was near the end. Well, that near the end, you can see I'm near the end of that. Say, articulates 11, say 1. Say I people these squares of glass, playmate of the impossible, I listen to your howl, across the floating gardens between the equipment units and the living units. Your metabolic rhythms are coerced by the nebulous obsession that discourses through ill-adjusted air conditioning, counterpoints the smashings of workmen disgorging the shell where the old widow Marx once dwelt. Singular planes of tilted glass reflect dead sky. Say hello. I want you to see this as a book again, or as a Parliament or Ministry of Justice building that looks like a nuclear power plant. There is a voice. It says beauty, though the street jive of postmodernism is policed by the dictionary of modernity. It might recruit you to causes that remain inimical to your judgment or government. This is everyday life, slipping along the radius of the everyday world. Go away. Say, this is no palace of art, not even a map of it. Don't say, the solution is dynamite, the blocks collapsing squarely into clouds of their own dust. Say, Demonstrate your intelligence, stamping the pages with the ictus of identity and contradiction, the space now only inhabited by the hidden interchange of knowledge and its otherwise. Say you scratch the veneer of an authoritarian static fit, and what do you find when the next drunk, or the girl next door, positioned on the radial, smiles sourly or sweetly and asks you to justify your discursive habits and the income it provides with patented buzzwords? What are you going to say? Once there were formal houses on the main road, informal ones nearer the lake, and a few practices that are allowed in between, a handful of dialect words and a fistful of proscribed gestures. Say, this is meant to be a model for communicative action as motivation, as alignment, as celebration as actualization, for those who snap the snare, for those who refuse to exploit experience as a supplement of history, as a bloodbath after one of the hostages says the wrong word. The path is formed by the various buildings that stretch either side of the path that was not there until the grammar just about made it to the full stop. Say, you say something and I'll reply. Dialogue and the everyday. I'd like to finish with a poem which is actually a constant sequence called Dialogues. And short. That's another sort of actually it's not a manifesto because it's towards a manifesto. It's Blues 50 from 1997. I have written some poems since the year 2000, by the way. 2 hours. Towards a neo-diagonalist manifesto, Dialogue 8. Power is wrong, you better enjoy it. Next week's meta-narrative is futtilized to a crispy post-trauma. Spin doctors gridlock our sweaty horns as we cough up the nightmare they swallowed. We don't conceptualise the big princess in quite the dress on a very small blackboard, inside off, onto numbered opinions, dumbed down for the night. Thank you.